Good afternoon. I call to order the regular city council meeting for Monday, February 2nd. Please silence your cell phones or other devices if you haven't. And let's have the roll call, please.
Blessum.
Here.
Fuller.
Here.
Hayes.
Here.
Janser.
Here.
Olson. Here. Pittner.
Here.
Samuelson.
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3 is the mayor's report. Tonight I have a proclamation. The City of Minot Mayor proclaims February 12th as Giving Hearts Day. Whereas Giving Hearts Day is an example of the private sector assisting charitable nonprofit organizations that improve the quality of life for many members of our community and has helped participating charities raise more than $226 million since its founding in 2008. And whereas the goals of Giving Hearts Day are to raise awareness of charitable nonprofit organizations in North Dakota, to promote the online giving, and to provide donors with the opportunity to multiply their giving to help nonprofit sector support individuals and families through programs that promote, encourage, and sustain independence and self-sufficiency. And whereas multiple local charities have demonstrated a need for collaboration and resources and have combined their efforts for this 24-hour fundraising event that is dedicated to inspiring online donations. Now therefore do I, Mark Janser, Mayor of the City of Minot, hereby proclaim February 12th as Giving Hearts Day in the City of Minot, and ask public officials, business and community leaders, and all Minot residents to observe this day by recognizing charitable nonprofits, their staffs and volunteers who provide essential services to our community, and support Giving Hearts Day by volunteering or providing financial support to charities in Minot and across North Dakota and Northwest Minnesota at givingheartsday.org. Signed, Mark Janser, Mayor. So it's a wonderful opportunity to support the local nonprofit charities, and we hope people will continue to do that. Otherwise, in terms of my report, there were a number of activities. We had a MPO board meeting, and part of that was to elect Jim Rosted from the county as the chair for the next upcoming term. I had one-on-ones with the city manager and city attorney. Participated in a tour and briefing regarding the National Guard facility here in Minot. Attended a NAWS Authority Board meeting, working on moving forward with the NAWS project, monthly meeting, and numerous meetings with other individuals and citizens. I'd like to also note in this report that I'm very pleased that the family shelter at Broadway Circle is open. This was a project that originated as part of the resilience grant that the City of Minot won, about $74 million. And this project was one that required tenacity and continued effort on the part of the city to bring across the finish line. But we have done that with the current partner, Pathways of North Dakota. And so families who find themselves homeless for whatever reason now have a place to go and get back on their feet, make a transition. So I think that's worth noting. Any questions for me? Seeing none, we'll move on to section 4, which is the city manager's report.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So my report is attached. A major focus of the last couple of weeks was completing annual performance evaluations and having one-on-ones with my direct reports, so those went very well. Also, we had our meeting last week where we talked about the way ahead for budget for 2027's budget, so we look forward to doing that. And then of note in the report, I'd also like to mention that I signed off on a memo for record which memorializes the remedial actions that staff has taken as a result of the November 2024 investigation into the police department. So that has been signed off, and those actions will be audited for the next 2 years to ensure we remain on track. Pending any questions of me, we do have a few briefs that we'd like to get to. As discussed in our last session, we're going to have those external partners who have regular briefs, we're going to have them do them under the city manager's report so they can choose what they need to do with the rest of their evening, because I know they're very busy and they have other meetings to attend. So we're going to start off with Ms. Holly Breckus, who will give the First District Health Unit's annual report. Holly.
Thank you, Mayor Janser and members of the council, and thank you to City Manager for moving us up on the agenda. I'm not going to take a lot of time. I just wanted to kind of review 2025, what's been happening in public health. Do you have a clicker, or do I just say next slide?
Okay, next slide.
Okay. Just a reminder, you know, what our mission and vision, healthy people and healthy communities, that's what we always focus on. Some of the service summary, you know, in our service agreement, I don't know if you've reviewed it. I reviewed it this morning just to make sure I was hitting all the points. But those are the services we provided to the city and the city staff is water tests, wastewater tests, vaccinations, and Narcan. So, and everything is in my written report there. As far as community services, these are the numbers. We had environmental health services, 5,183. Narcan boxes we distribute, 2,456. That's a lot of boxes of Narcan out in the community. We served over 3,000 people with our nursing services, and that's just the city of Minot. That's not our 7 county areas. We track those numbers separately. And then we give over 8,000 immunizations in the Minot community. Some of that was with our mobile unit. We have a mobile unit. We did a lot of that during the flu season. We'd go out to businesses and different community events. So that's our service summary. I don't know if anybody has any questions on 2025. I do want to touch a little bit on 2026. I know Mr. Joyce and I talked a little bit about, I will get the report about the financial spending piece that's due before April. I just kind of want to talk about the services that we have done and what's coming up in 2026. Does anybody have any questions about 2025 and the written reports that I provided? Okay. Well, 2026 is kind of an exciting time. I don't know if you guys have heard about the Rural Health Transformation Grant. And it's basically, it was put into the big, beautiful bill. It has money that's dedicated to improving health, like making America healthy. And North Dakota was allocated $199 million. And so that's going to be granted out to, I mean, it's open to anybody. So I encourage community, you know, if you work in health and wellness or prevention of any sort, look into the Rural Health Transformation Grant, because they're really wanting to get that money out into the community and doing good things. We don't know exactly what the grant guidance is going to look like, but we've been doing some prep work already. I've met with like Trinity Health, some schools, the Minot Chamber. We had a discussion about some projects we can collaborate in terms of workforce. And then we're hoping that maybe we can implement some of the programs that we've done in the past that we had to discontinue because of some of our previous funding cuts. So that's kind of what we have going on. Again, if you have any ideas or suggestions on what you would like to see in the community as far as health and wellness, please let me know. We're happy to partner with anybody and help them along that grant process. We work a lot with the Department of Health already, so we have that relationship and mechanism in place. So that's what I have. If you guys don't have any questions, I'm going to turn it over to Ashley Klaus. She is running the MOUD program at the jail. If you guys remember, the city puts money into that program, and I'm really excited. It's been a wonderful program, but I'll let Ashley give you the details on that.
Good evening.
This was our first year running this program, so everything is a learning experience. MOUD stands for Medications for Opioid Use Disorder. We're serving individuals that struggle with substance use disorder, specifically opiates. If you can go to the next slide. The major brain, the think tank for this, goes to Major Olthoff. This was kind of his baby. He handed it to me and said, make it your own. So, next. I'll go through a little bit of the background, how it started, and then what we're doing. Next slide. Next. Here's some North Dakota statistics. 20.8% of adults meet the criteria for substance use disorder. Over 77% do not receive treatment, and a little over 3% is illicit drug use in North Dakota compared to the national average of 3.48. So we're above, or we're just below the national average. Drug and narcotics violations have increased 2.54% between, and these are statistics from 2022. You can go to the next. Some Ward County and City of Minot stats, where the Ward County has the 5th highest overdose rate in North Dakota for deaths. And in 2024, the City of Minot had 74 calls for reported overdose, and I work with Minot PD on these numbers. In 2025, City of Minot had 33 calls for reported overdose, with 5 resulting in deaths. Unfortunately, I don't know how many deaths were in 2024, but that's a significant decrease, over 55% decrease. And I believe that's from all the resources in the area working together between task force and First District, CMS, our program. Next. We can go. So the MOUD program was developed by the Ward County Opioid Task Force. They were trying to figure out the best way to use the opioid settlement funds received by Ward County and City of Minot. For the MOUD program, we screen inmates for substance use disorder, refer them to a treatment as necessary. They have access to peer support groups. They can either do group or individual. Harm reduction education. How can we be safer when we are out on the streets? And then just if you're already on medication-assisted treatment, continuity of care. Next. We work with multiple community resources, First District Health Unit, Community Medical Services, Ideal Options, North Central Human Service, Marco, the Opioid and Naloxone Education Program, which was created by North Dakota State University. That's our screening tool that we use. And of course, the support of area law enforcement. So the process, when somebody is incarcerated, we do a screening and assessment. That is that opioid and naloxone education screening. Once somebody is determined that they do have substance use disorder, I refer them to the clinic, the Community Medical Services Clinic, and they do further screening and talk to them. They meet with everybody up at the clinic, so the clinic manager, the counselors, peer support, and of course the nursing staff. The nursing staff will then prescribe the medication, which they either deliver or I'll go pick up. And then peer support and reentry services. The peer support individuals come in and they help individuals plan what their life is going to look like after they're released. These are just our numbers for 2025. In Ward County Detention Center, we had 3,184 bookings. Of those, 320 individuals were screened for substance use disorder. We induced or started treatment for 60 new individuals, and there was 436 current individuals that we continued their care. Next. This is just a breakdown. There's not a very big difference between males and females. There's a little bit more males for the year, 33 versus 27 females. Medications we can administer: methadone, buprenorphine, which is Suboxone, Sublocade, that's a shot, and Vivitrol is a shot. This is a breakdown of the types of treatment that we had during the year. As you can see, methadone is the biggest medication-assisted treatment that we offer, with over 50% of individuals receiving methadone. The funding for this program comes from the Ward County and City of Minot Opioid Settlement Funds, North Dakota Opioid Settlement Fund grant, and SUD vouchers, substance use disorder vouchers, if the individual qualifies. Post-release, this kind of shows like how the individuals are paying for their methadone or other medications that they receive. A very large chunk of it is North Dakota Medicaid or Blue Cross North Dakota Medicaid. Next. So during their first year, an estimated 6,551 doses of medication were administered to 148 individuals across 241 jail stays. Of these individuals, 60 were initiated on medication-assisted treatment while incarcerated. 88 continued their previously established medication-assisted treatment. Ward County MOUD program also supported multiple agencies across North Dakota by courtesy holding inmates on medication-assisted treatment when other facilities were unable to meet their medical needs. Some of the highlights: we received some local, statewide, and national recognition within the first year of the program. Major Olthoff was awarded the DOCR Trailblazer Award for innovation in correctional-based MOUD services. I was featured in a docuseries highlighting corrections-based treatment. We're an emerging model for corrections and recovery support in the state. I had an opportunity to visit Franklin County, Ohio, and Chesterfield County, Virginia, and visit their medication-assisted treatment programs, and take their best practices and mold them into our own. And then I want to keep applying all these lessons that I'm learning from other groups to make our program one to be followed. And here's some screen grabs and of our highlights for the year. Next. This is my thank you for supporting myself in Ward County. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your report. Anybody have any questions from the council about the program? Okay. Seeing none, thank you for all the good you're doing.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Holly. Next, I'm going to have Dave Lakefield's going to come up, our finance director, and talk a little bit about community development block grants.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this will just be a brief update on the status of the CDBG Development Block Grant program that we have, commonly referred to as our entitlement program. We brought on a new grants manager, Jody Erickson, at the very end of December, and she's hit the ground running and doing lots of good work. So we just want to give you a little bit of an update where we're at, and this will also allow us to get this information out to the public in anticipation of accepting applications for some of this funding. So just a little background on the timeline. In 2023, the city was designated as an entitlement community. In 2024, we solicited community input from nonprofits and other community partners. That information was used for an application and consolidated plan that was submitted to HUD and subsequently approved for plan years 24 through 28. The major components in the consolidated plan include supporting activities that increase the number of jobs in the community, especially for low to moderate income residents, that we ensure a wide variety of housing opportunities are available, and then provide services for those residents in poverty. All of the activities must include or work in one of these objectives, national objectives. Either they have to benefit the low to moderate income persons, they have to aid in the prevention or elimination of blight, or they have to meet some other community needs having a particular urgency. And you've probably heard us refer to that as an urgent need national objective in some of the other grant activities that we've done. So this infographic here just shows kind of how we're laying out the process for this entitlement program. And this is a little bit different from how we rolled this out here a couple of years ago. This is more of a pull mechanism instead of pushing this money out to the community, if you look at it this way. So how we're envisioning this process now is we'll look at what we have for funding. We would put the information out in a notice of funding opportunity to the community partners. They'll get back to us, submit the applications. We go through a process to determine eligibility, review all the applications, rank them. We have a committee that will review them. It comes to council for review. Council will approve those or select the program or the projects that go forward. We have to make any modifications to the consolidated plan. We'll go through that process with HUD. If there are changes to the consolidated plan, that opens up the door for, again, citizen participation and public comment. Again, the council has the final approval, and then we incorporate the council approval, submit it to HUD for final approval, and then we'd award those funds to the community partners. Now, I know that sounds like a long process, but I promise you this is an effort to streamline this. So typically, how it's worked in the past is we had that community input up front. We got an idea of what might be out there for projects. We submitted the application to HUD. We had the money awarded in certain buckets. Well, then we have to go and look for projects that fit for those buckets. And it's a little yin or yang, what comes first. So this process would be putting the notice of funding opportunity out there, find out what's out there for viable projects, score them, rank them, and then put the paperwork into HUD to have it approved. And hopefully we'll streamline this process and get this money out to work in our community much more efficiently. So part of the process will be going through this application ranking. So Jody has worked to come up with a system of ranking these. So we'll go through multi-step. It'll be very transparent, quantitative, and there's multiple levels of approval and ranking with this. So we'll focus on program strategic planning, the planning and planning into the future, the program management and implementation, how these people plan to carry out these programs and carry them into the future, and then evaluating what they're doing and what the results are with the funding that's given out. This is just how we'll work through the application and how they'll be scored in these 5 different categories. And then what I would like to do is, this is already up on the city's website. So I'll just open this up. And if you go to the city's homepage, there's this banner that scrolls through. So we have this notice of funding opportunity that's on the main page of the city's website. If you click on that, it brings you to the CDBG screen where it says the notice of funding opportunity. They have a number of hyperlinks right here. The first one, if you go through that, it has the notice of funding opportunity. And this walks you through exactly what you need to know, what projects are eligible, what the funding can be used for, the statutory references, what's not eligible in these projects, and it walks you right through the entire process of what you have to apply for these. They also have an application form out there that's available that walks them right through the entire process to apply, tells them what they need to know, and they can submit it online electronically and sign electronically. So hopefully this will streamline this process, will be a lot more efficient in how we can get these grant dollars out the door and working in the community. So just again, a bit of a quick update. Just for your awareness, we'll be advertising this notice of funding opportunity reaching out to the community partners to let them know what's out there. So hopefully we can get this moving sooner than later. And again, a shout out to Jody and all the work she's done in the first month that she's been here. She's been a great add to the team. So we'll look forward to her future endeavors as well. So I'll stand for any questions you might have.
Any questions for the finance director? It appears this has come quite a long way since the beginning, so I compliment you on putting the system in place. Seeing no further questions, thank you very much. City manager, anything else?
Just one quick, thanks, Dave, Jody, I appreciate that, very good. At our joint city council and county commissioner commission meeting back in earlier in January, staff was directed to bring some building permit fees information together. So Brian Billingsley and Luke Telema put up a memo that was in the report. If you have any questions on those fees, Brian's here, but just want to make sure we hit on that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
See no questions, so with that, we'll move on. The next item is the city attorney's report.
Mayor, members of the council, I've attached a written report, and I can stand for any questions at this time.
Any questions for the city attorney? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next section, which is the planning commission report. 5.2 is a public hearing, and this is a public hearing on the case number 2026-01. It's Ramstead Second Edition, lots 10 and 11, Block 2, for a zoning map amendment. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak to this zoning map change? Anybody here to speak to this? Seeing no one come forward, what are the wishes of the council?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
Would that include closing the public hearing?
Apologies, yes, close the public hearing and approve as presented.
Okay, we have motion and a second. Any discussion by the council? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote.
The motion passed unanimously.
Next is item 5.3, which is also a public hearing. This is case number 2026-02, and it is a zoning map amendment for lots 1 and 2 in Keller's Second Edition, a preliminary plat. Is there anybody here to wish to speak to this? The recommendation from the Planning Commission is to approve the amendment. Seeing no one come forward, what are the wishes of the council?
Mayor.
Alderman Blessam.
I'll move that we close the public hearing and approve the item.
Second.
Moved and seconded to close the public hearing and approve the item. Any discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes.
The motion passed unanimously.
That takes us to section 6, which is the consent items. I've been asked to pull items 6.5 and 6.10. Do any other council members have items they wish to have pulled? Anybody in the audience have anything from the consent agenda that they wish to have pulled? If so, please let me know now, and we'll make sure that it gets discussed individually. Seeing no one, is there a motion from the council?
Move to approve the remaining items.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the remaining items. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and vote.
The motion passed unanimously.
That brings us to item 6.5, which is approval of 2025 interest distribution. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the
Moved
item.
by Alderman Blessam,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Fuller. Discussion. Alderman Blessam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've asked Dave to come and just talk us through this a little bit. This is a set of fund balances that I don't think we've seen in exactly this format before, and just wanted to make sure I understood sort of why that looks the way it does, and then how we're gaining interest on these, I guess, because it's substantial.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, so what this references is the average monthly cash balance as opposed to the fund balance. So it's actually what was on hand. So what we do is we accrue or we recognize the interest that we accumulate throughout the year, and then we're allocating that out based on what each of these funds had for average cash balance. So we utilize a pooled cash concept where we don't have a separate bank account for each individual fund that we have. We have 38 different funds in our accounting structure. So we aggregate that interest and then we allocate it out to each of those separate funds based on what their average cash balance was.
Mr. Mayor, if I can continue.
Go ahead, Alderman Blessam.
So Dave, just so I'm getting it then, as I look at it, the average across 2025, across all of these different cash balances, adds up to a little over $100 million that the city had at any one day across the entire year in 2025, correct?
Mr. Mayor, Alderman Blessam, that's correct on average.
Okay. And so, and there's a lot of stuff in there. There's, there's 10 million in the flood fund. So, we're going to spend that because we've got a lot of big projects coming. At the same time, I think what this points to is something that I've pointed out multiple times, and that we've been very conservative in terms of keeping our cash balances in a good spot. We're never really in any danger of not meeting our obligations and not being able to do the things that we need to do. And so one of my contentions as we go through the budget period again this year is that we can be a little more aggressive in the way we do the yearly budgets because we do such a good job here. We've got the cash in the bank to make sure that we're always sitting in a good spot and to be planning for the future and making sure we're taking care of the big picture projects that are coming. Doesn't mean there aren't huge obligations, doesn't mean big bridges don't need to be built. At the same time, we're doing a nice job of doing that. And then as this shows, there's over $4.2 million just in interest to be distributed. So can you talk a little bit, I think we're limited by law in how we can invest and things like that, but can you talk a little bit about how we invest those funds?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we are restricted under state statute. So just broadly, the funds have to be fully insured. So either FDIC insurance or a financial institution, if they're over the FDIC limits, can pledge assets, or they can be invested in securities from the United States government. So we're very limited in what we can invest funds in. We're not picking stocks, we're not doing hedge funds, anything like that. So it's typically money markets, CDs, U.S. Treasuries, or other bonds that we have too. One thing I would like to point out though is this cash, it's a cash balance, but it doesn't mean that that is all available. Some of these funds are restricted for a particular purpose. Some of the funds are already under contracted. We just haven't spent them or paid the contractor yet. So that doesn't mean that all of this money is available either. And just to give an example, general fund, the bulk of our property tax collections come in early in the year because they're due in February for the discount, or the first installment's due in March. So we receive the bulk of those payments early in the year. That doesn't mean they're all expended then. That carries us through the remainder of the year too. So there's some nuances that come along with that.
Thanks.
Further questions for the finance director? Okay, thank you, Dave. We have a motion and a second. Anyone have any further comments on this item? If not, I'd ask you to cast your votes.
The motion passed unanimously.
That takes us to item 6.10, which is approval of Magic Fund loan forgiveness write-off. Is there a motion?
I'll move approval.
Moved by Alderman Blessam,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Olson. City Finance Director is back.
Go ahead, Dave. Yeah, so, Mr. Mayor, if I could.
Alderman
I-
Blessam.
Again, I asked Dave to come and talk about this a little bit. A couple meetings back, we had a write-off as part of the Magic Fund program. This is one that I think was worth at least taking a look at, just to make sure that we understand the mechanisms and how sort of the clawbacks work and things like that. So can you talk a little bit about that, Dave?
Mayor, Alderman Blessam, in this particular one, they had a requirement in their development agreement for a number of employees that they had to have. They came up a little bit short when Brady Martz went through the annual audit or the AUP. So they were sent the notice of that, the results, once Brady Martz was done. There's a little bit of a timing issue because the correspondence came back in-house when we had a number of people out for maternity leave. Then it got to be the end of the year. They were requesting an invoice, that we invoice them for the amount that was due, but the amount has been paid.
Okay, so Mr. Mayor, if I could,
Go
so
ahead.
just a little bit of the details with it, Dave, not worrying about who it is or any of that stuff, but just the mechanisms at play here. So they were expected to have 2 employees during 2024. They only had 1 that Brady Martz could account for. So the roughly $71,000 that they were essentially, it's a forgivable loan it'll turn into a grant provided they meet the agreements. They met half of it. As I looked in the agreement, it's prorated then based on half of that. So first of all, we're only, this item is for us to write off the half, the 35,000, and you've said the other half has already been clawed back because they actually owe us that in a payment for the loan, correct?
Mr. Mayor, Alderman Blessam, that is correct.
Okay, great. So, yeah, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to make sure that we all kind of got a feel for how these move through the process and that, the team here is doing a great job to make sure that the agreements are being met and that we're doing the pieces that claw back when we need to.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just to expound a little bit, when we did the RFQ for audit services, we included this in the RFQ, so this will be part of our engagement with the firm that was selected, which is Eide Bailey. So they will be doing the AUPs as well this year. We would anticipate late second quarter or early third quarter, so hopefully going forward, these should all come kind of in a bulk at the same time of year. So provided that we don't have any new agreements or anything else that causes issues with that time frame.
Anything further for the Finance Director? Okay, thank you very much, Dave. Seeing none, we have a motion and a second for item 6.10. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and vote.
The motion passed unanimously.
That completes Section 6. We're moving on to Section 7. We'll start with Section 7, or item 7.1, which is the Minot Park District half-cent sales tax ordinance and ballot language request. I believe there's some folks from the Park District here tonight. Did you want to speak to us about this?
Mayor Janser and council members, thank you for your time this evening. You have received in your meeting packets the proposal from ballot language and ordinance language that has been approved by the Minot Park Board. If you can go to the next slide, please. The Minot Park District is proposing a half-cent sales tax to provide property tax relief, fund capital improvement projects, and maintain our current parks and facilities. Thank you. In this proposal, we will lower our mills from 38 to 26 on our general fund. A reduction of 12 mills, a 40% reduction in the park's general fund property tax. This would include a 20-year guarantee. The savings comes out to $155 on a $250,000 home, $248 on a $400,000 home, $404 on a $650,000 home, and $528 on an $850,000 home. In order for a property owner to not see these savings, they would have to spend over $30,000 in taxable sales. Go to the next slide. Thank you. The Minot Park District is primarily funded by property tax, yet the reach of our facilities goes far beyond the city limits of Minot. Nearly 55% of our visitors are from outside the city limits. Facilities such as the Roseville Park Zoo, the Shields Complex, Mesa Arena, Corbett Field, Jack Hoban Baseball Complex, Optimus Soccer Complex, all have economic impact. These locations bring individuals to our community from across the region and the state. They come here to compete, they come here to explore, they come here to enjoy our facilities. While they're visiting, they're shopping in our stores, they're eating in our restaurants, and they're staying at our hotels. In July of 2025, the Magic City Fast Pitch organization hosted Girls State Fast Pitch here in Minot. Here's some of the numbers from that weekend. We had 2,700 visitors to Minot. 1,300 of those individuals visited a hotel. 5,000, they visited restaurants a number of 5,000 times while they were staying here, and 4,000 visits per person or so to the shopping centers, malls, Target, or Walmart. So those numbers prove when they're coming here, they're shopping, they're creating economic impact for our community. You can go to slide, I believe it's number 7 for me. So in front of you, we have a list of capital improvements and maintenance projects. We have a long list of facilities and ground maintenance that needs to be completed. We have compiled many of those on the list before you today. You will notice many of these items aren't flashy. They aren't necessarily things you're going to hold ribbon cuttings for, but they're necessary for our facilities to operate and serve our community and our region. We have goals for the future projects. We believe in this proposal before you will help us give us a roadmap to move forward. We take great pride in what we do, and we are working within the resources that we have. We are bringing this proposal to you to continue to move the needle forward on quality of life for our region. We have been asked by users and partner groups to bring this back. So here we are. We're asking for our citizens to have the opportunity to vote. We believe that having this on a primary election ballot will increase voter turnout and provide better representation of Minot as a whole. And with that, I take any questions you guys may have.
Any questions for Ellie? I see none. You've explained it well.
All right.
With that, is there a motion from the council? Alderman Blessing.
I'll move approval.
Second.
I think Alderman Pittner beat you slightly. We'll go with Alderman Pittner. Is there any discussion by the council?
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Blessing.
Yep, thank you. I guess I'll have the same answers I had last time, which is that this isn't our decision. This is the people's decision. The park board will face their voters when the time comes about whether they put this on the ballot and it passes or fails again. So our role in this is to simply put it on the ballot and to allow that to move forward. So my personal opinions on it really don't matter. So my vote will be yes.
Any further discussion from the council? Alderman Samuelson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My difficulty with this is we're looking at part of a tax break for our locals, and we're going to charge out of state more tax dollars. I just have a problem. It keeps talking about that there's people from out of town that use our facilities, and people come into town for tournaments and everything else, which we all do it in other cities. It happens all over. You could almost say that it's, it is a back and forth there. But what we're asking people to do who are strapped for money already is we're going to make the decision on whether they pay more taxes or not. The citizens of Minot are going to decide whether anybody that comes here is going to spend more tax dollars or not. And I don't think that's fair. So I will be voting no.
Further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Blessing.
Just to add one other thing, I think that I think that Alderman Samuelson is on one side of that, and there's another piece to it that I'm always a little bit careful about, and that's that sales tax disproportionately affects people that are hurting for money. And I think we always want to be careful with that. You know, we need a good balance of how we bring in the tax dollars that it takes to run everything that we need to run. And so, you know, again, it's when I'll have an opportunity to vote for it in June when it gets there, and I'll make my vote at that point. But I think it's good for all of us to always be cognizant of that. You know, I was just looking it up to make sure I remembered it, but the statutory authority we have as a city is a full 3%. This would bring us to 2.5%. You know, we've heard about public safety wanting the other half. So we may be just maxing out our entire taxing authority under sales tax within the next year. And we have to be careful with stuff like that. Because again, yeah, it's great that out of town people pay it. It's great that, you know, those that can afford it pay it. It's a use tax, or it's a consumption tax. So, you know, people can choose whether to do so or not. But, you know, that single mom that I've referred to a lot, Paul, you know, when she goes to buy her kids their clothes for school, she's paying for this stuff. So now the good news is hopefully she's getting good use out of the parks, and that's a good thing.
Alderman Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So oftentimes when we vote on something at the dais, there'll either be emails that are sent to us or comments on social media that will say that should have gone to a vote. And the residents of Minot, a few, obviously we had a low voter turnout, but some did turn out last year and they voted on this, and this item lost. They're bringing it back one more time to give people one more opportunity to vote on this. And I think it's not for us to get in the way. It's to allow the people to vote. Perhaps the outcome will be the same, perhaps it'll be different. But when we can give the people the opportunity to vote, we should do that.
Further discussion? Seeing none, let's cast our votes.
The motion passed 6-1 with dissent from Alderman Samuelson.
All right, we move on to item 7.2. This is a detention pond transfer to city ownership at Highlands at North Hill. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Moved by Alderman Fuller. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Olson. Discussion by the council. Seeing none, let's go ahead and cast our votes.
The motion passed 6-1 with dissent from Alderman Samuelson.
We move on to item 7.3. This is a minor plat change as provided in the attachment. What are the wishes of the council?
Move approval as presented.
Moved by Alderman Olson,
Second.
second by Alderman Fuller. Discussion. Seeing none, please cast your vote.
The motion passed 6-1 with dissent from Alderman Samuelson.
The next item is 7.4. It is case 2025-57. It is the Highlands at North Hill 10th edition minor plat. Obviously, must be right next to the 9th edition that we just approved. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
And I'll second.
Moved by Alderman Olson, second by Alderman Fuller. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's cast our votes. Oh, I'm sorry, Alderman Hayes.
I have a vested interest in that financially. I'll be abstaining.
All right,
Mr. Mayor, if I could.
Alderman Blessing.
To the city attorney, that we need a little bit more in this process. So we need to understand why, and then one of the things I think people need to understand about this abstention process is that we cannot have this be someone avoiding a vote. So we have to take an action that says, yes, that makes sense, and you're essentially excused from voting. Because what we don't want it to be is, oh, I don't like an issue, I'm gonna find some abstract way to say I've got a conflict so I don't have to vote on it. So I just want to be very clear that there should be actions that we take to approve this.
City Attorney?
And Alderman Blessam, I don't disagree. And if there's an inquiry that the council would like to make of Alderman Hayes to determine what that conflict of interest is, to just confirm that that's not occurring and that there's an avoidance of the vote, my recommendation would be to make inquiry prior to that abstention vote being made.
So Alderman Hayes, can you explain?
Yeah, mine is a financial interest. I own the funding on that project up there. With the exception, the prior two are on the developer, so I have no interest in either one of those, is the reason why I voted on the two of them.
And then, so Mayor Jantz or Alderman Hayes, members of the council, so that's the disclosure. And so as reiterated at the prior meeting that we had earlier today, it's in the council's discretion on whether or not it wants to waive that conflict. So either the floor could be open to acknowledge the conflict and agree that with Alderman Hayes's request to abstain from the matter, or if the council wants to waive the conflict and allow Alderman Hayes to participate in the vote despite that, is also an action that could be taken. With Alderman Hayes' recommendation here, my recommendation would be to acknowledge the conflict and agree that the alderman can abstain from this vote.
So, Mr. Mayor, I'll move that we excuse Alderman Hayes from this vote.
Moved and seconded to acknowledge the conflict and excuse Alderman Hayes from voting and allow him to abstain. Is there any further discussion on that? All right, let's go ahead and vote on that motion.
The motion passed 6-0 with Alderman Hayes abstaining.
Okay, so now we are back to the actual item. And I believe we have a motion on that and a second as well. So is there any further discussion on the main item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the main item.
The motion passed 5-1 with dissent from Alderman Samuelson and Alderman Hayes abstaining.
All right, that moves us to 7.5, which is an item recommending accepting a proposal from HR Green for the compatible land use study update. What are your wishes?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Olson, seconded by Alderman Fuller. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and cast our votes.
The motion passed unanimously.
Very well, that completes our action items. Our next section is personal appearances. If you wish to appear before the council, the rules of engagement are that a speaker card is required, and that includes a name and address. The address will be kept confidential, and then also the topic that you wish to speak about. And the speaker card must be submitted to the city clerk prior to speaking. Missing information from the speaker card disqualifies the individual from speaking at the meeting. Each individual will be allotted 5 minutes to make comments. The individual will be notified when their 5 minutes have expired, and the 5-minute time limit may be extended by a majority vote of the city council. All comments must address the topic identified on the speaker card, must be pertinent to the city of Minot, and fall under the authority of the city council, and must be directed to the city council as a whole. Comments may not be defamatory, abusive, harassing, or unlawful, may not include information that is exempt or confidential under North Dakota Open Records Law, and may not interfere with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Individuals do not have access to the city's audiovisual technology unless prearranged, and individuals may not yield their allotted time to another individual. So I have one speaker's card, and it is from Nancy Bruce, who is here to talk about Norsk Kustfest taxes, I believe.
Now that the Norsk Kustfest is gone, what are we going to do to bring that money back into the city? They gave us, what, 43 million every year on the average? What are we going to do to bring that money back here? Instead of raising taxes and try to compensate for that, what are we going to do? You know, you see all these other cities, and I know they're bigger than we are, but why don't we bring entertainment to Minot? You know, use the auditorium. What's it used for? What is it used for? It's in disrepair. We can't really do anything without it collapsing. We have to do something to bring that money back. That was there for almost 50 years. Why don't we do something to bring it back? Like children's entertainment. You know, you can have all these other cities do it. Why can't we do it? Isn't that what the Minot City Commission's supposed to be doing for all this? I mean, I know we have money because we spend $8,000 on each sign in town. And that's what, 43 signs on average, that's what, $344,000? We could hire 2 police officers for that. But no, I guess we can't because they're worth more than that. There's no reason for us to spend, for you guys to spend our money the way you are. It is ridiculous. We should have a vote on everything we spend our money on, everything. That $1,600 that was given to the people that own a house in Minot, you guys had nothing to do with that. That was the state. People filled it out online. So you guys lied to the city of Minot saying, oh, well, we did it. We didn't raise taxes. We gave this back to you. You guys didn't do nothing. The state gave it to us. You guys did nothing and you lied to us. How can we even believe anything you guys say anymore? Well, I got to say thanks for your time.
I have no additional speaker cards, so I'm going to assume that there isn't anybody else who wishes to appear tonight, and we will move on. Item 9 is miscellaneous and discussion items. Is there anything that anybody wishes to add for the group? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 10.
Second.
Moved and second that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. We're adjourned.
Works, guys.